Hello and welcome back to the channel, heart friends and fellow students of the Great Mystery. I'm Lily Rose, and today I'm here with my great friend and teacher, Santos bonacci. And we're going to talk to you today. Santos is going to give a presentation on the Decans because I asked you a question about this in reading some of the Dyke's translations of bonacci, talking about mundane astrology. And you start looking at it immediately and all of these words come up. And I was like, wait, I have my lifeline call. I'm going to text you and see if you can help me do this definition because I'm trying to work through the material. And so we've had a conversation about that a little bit. And you forwarded me, and I printed off a copy of your chart of the Decans. And I do just want to say that these graphics that are on the Universal Truth School website, like when you first look at them, you don't really appreciate how difficult it is to pull out this information from these texts and actually, make it so presentable like this. So these are a great boon to your study of astrology, like as a student. But then, so I was, researching about the Decans, though, and I ran into this theological professor online who's teaching from a Christological perspective. So you have to really wash out some of his Christian kind of thing because he's coming from a messianic perspective. And he wants to separate himself as an astrologer or diviner of, the stars from astrology. So you have to filter that out. Like he's taught, there's some polemics in there. But what he's saying is really awesome. And he's talking about the Decans being like three constellations that work in confluence with the main zodiacal constellation. Okay? So you've got the three Decans and say Pisces. And the three Decans of Pisces. And these would be three additional constellations that are like a harmony. They add a harmony. This is the main melody, but these add the harmony. So he's using that metaphor. But my question to you was, because it starts to get very confusing because of precession, right? Because star patterns have moved. And so my question that I had for you was, is it like we look at in the zodiacal sine wave and with regard to precession, and we recognize that there's a difference between describing the energy, which have the same names as Aries and where the actual star constellation is. Does that factor forward to the Decans so that I wouldn't need to necessarily worry as much about where is Cassiopeia now, and is she still in the area that I would in the main schema? Do I need to worry about that? It's like the same divide between Western, tropical and Vedic and where that is. But the way I understand it from you is that we don't need to worry about that the way that it was originally set up describes an energy, and then there's another ring. So now we know that Aries point is being made in Pisces or near Aquarius, right? Mm-hmm. So that, there's two layers, right? Mm-hmm. And so would it be the same for the Decans?
Exactly the same. Yes,
okay.
Yes. So the signs are on the ecliptic.
Mm-hmm.
That's their true home.
Okay.
And each sign gets 30 degrees.
Right.
Then there are the signs of the actual constellations which are not on the ecliptic. They are further back.
Right.
Regardless of which model you use, the toroidal universe model or the heliocentric Copernican model, regardless of which model you use, mm-hmm. definitely and absolutely truly is that the ecliptic is closer to us than the constellations, the stars. So tropical astrology is based on the ecliptic.
Okay.
Sidereal Jyotish astrology is based not on the ecliptic. It's based on the actual constellations which are precessing. Mm-hmm. And they follow the precession always. And that is where they derive most of their influence for their astrology. Whereas we in the West, mm-hmm. and most other systems, derive most of the influence of astrology from the ecliptic. So in my presentations I teach ecliptic science. And so what you do is, to do this, to understand how tropical astrology works, it's natural. It's natural astrology. It works straight from nature. You can see it coming, speaking to you directly from nature. So this is the equator of the Earth. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. Always in the northern hemisphere is the Tropic of Cancer, 23.5 degrees parallel or latitude north. And this is Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer. Always in the southern hemisphere, always in any map, is Capricorn. These tropics will never change. They'll never move. They'll always be there. The equator will always be in the middle. So what you have is the ecliptic runs from the equator, where it should begin, goes up to the Tropic of Cancer, then it goes down to Capricorn, and then meets back up at the equator again. So this is the ecliptic, and these are the tropical points. There are 4 of them called the tropical points. So tropical astrology comes from these tropical points. And they never move. We are right here now, aren't we? The 1st of January it is today, 2020. We're right here. The solstice of the 21st was 10 days ago. These are 12 days of Christmas, more or less. But we are here right now. Okay, and we celebrated today. Everybody's telling, we went around to the shops before, have a happy new year. Yeah. Okay, so they believe that the year begins here, which it does, the secular year in Capricorn. Because now the sun is waxing. So that's the true beginning, especially since the 25th of December, when the sun begins to actually move from that death point of the 21st, where it is, where it dies, the Son of God dies, shortest day of the year, and then on the 25th, the birthday of the sun, lo and behold, it begins to wax. So it is the beginning of the year. In astrology, we take the beginning point from here, because here the sun begins to bring longer days and shorter nights. Therefore, that is the beginning of that 180-day cycle. So that also is a beginning point. And it's more natural to begin anything at that point of a sine wave, because that's where the sine wave is at the neutral point. Because wave amplitude, this is unbalance. Balance is where naturally you would begin any cycle. So you have 2 contending points for beginning of the year. This is the beginning of the secular year of Capricorn, because the sun is in Capricorn. So at the Tropic of Capricorn. So when the sun's there, it's going to find the sign of Capricorn. And there it is, right in the sun. Here we have Aries for 30 degrees along the ecliptic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 30. 30 days, 30 degrees. This is Aries. And this is the first sign in astrology. And April 1st, there's January 1st. Here is April 1st. And this is why you would be called a fool to celebrate April as the start of the year. So the Roman mentality or conditioning will have you believe that this is not the start of the year, because this is the start of the spiritual and natural year, where the blossom begins in Aries, the blossom. And so the blossom is the true sign of the beginning, because then comes the fruit. So every cycle begins there, out of the death of winter. Winter prepares, this is the waxing sun building up until it passes over into the Lamb of God. And you see the Jews celebrate the Passover, Christians celebrate Easter, always the Lamb of God resurrecting. See, in theology, the Son of God resurrects here, the Lamb of God, Jesus. It's always getting resurrected on Nicene 14, which is Aries, the solstice. And the Jews always celebrate the Passover. There's the Passover on the full moon here in Aries all the time. Well, in astrology, the sister science of theology, this is where the sun exalts. The sun exalts here in astrology, but in theology it resurrects. Those are the same word. To exalt means to come up, to resurrect. You see, because of course this is the only sign where the sun could possibly exalt, because it has exalted over the darkness of winter and fall.
Right.
And so here the sun is conquered. It is not exalting. It is in hell. Inferno. Whoops. Infernal. Inferno is hell, but in Latin, inverno is winter. See, inferno, inverno, vernal. Yeah.
Invierno.
Invierno. In Spanish, the same. Infierno, invierno. In Italian, inverno, inferno.
Okay.
So what is infernal is when the sun goes down to hell and Tommy, St. Thomas Day, the 21st of December. So that's where it's crucified. Tammuz gets crucified, gets killed by a beast, you see? The son of Nimrod or what have you. So you've got these two vying points for the beginning. So tropical astrology, because the seasons never move, the equinox will always be here on the 21st of March. The solstice will always be here on the 21st of June. The equinox on the 23rd of September will always be here, the autumnal. And then the solstice will always be here. This just doesn't move. And so those seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter, golden age, silver age, bronze, iron age, morning, afternoon, evening, night, spring, summer, autumn, winter, it's all the same cycle. And this wave here is the same as any other wave. Sound wave, light wave, water wave, thought wave, emotion wave. This wave here, this sine wave here, describes every wave that has ever been in the universe and how it comes out of the transcendental point anywhere in the universe. It comes out of the transcendence into the manifest physical world and creates this sine wave, which is the form of all atoms, toroidal fields, bodies. Anything you see is coming from this sine wave, which is the torus field, which is the atom. All is atom. So this is the science of atom. There's Tom. Atom. All is atom. And this is the cross of Tum. That's why the Jews have the cancer. They call this sign here Tammuz. Tammuz. Thomas. Tammuz. Tom. There's the cross. That's the holy cross. It's the swastika. You see the swastika there? It's the yin and yang. It's all here. Everything is this. Everything. So as Thomas H. Burgoyne explains, because in tropical astrology the influence of astrology comes from the ecliptic, primarily. A secondary source is the stars. So both systems are reliable, true, accurate, and valid. It's not that one is useless and one is great, as some astrologers would have you believe. Okay,
Right.
and I find this especially with Jyotish astrologers. They have so much condemnation of our science in the West, which is tropical, which is not even justifiable. Their arguments are totally fallible when you know what you're talking about. Totally fallible. Tropical astrology is the first influence of astrology. It is the most penetrating. Sidereal is less penetrating, and I can prove that in many, many ways. So let's just establish that first so that we know that we're dealing with two different sciences. The zodiac of the constellations, which are further away than the ecliptic. So for instance, the stars of Aries should be right there behind the 30 degrees allocated to Aries. Reliably, we should, if the system didn't precess, Aries would always be there. But what's happened now is because of precession, Pisces, supposedly, well, it has slipped into this position. And so people now say, wait a minute, well, hang on, it's wrong. This can't be right. If astrologers are saying that the sun is in Aries and yet we can see clearly that it's in Pisces, well then astrology is wrong and debunkable. No. Because if the sun is anywhere between the 21st of March and the 21st of April, it will always, on the ecliptic, it will be in Aries, because those dates, those degrees are allocated to Aries, and it will never move. It'll never move. It'll always be there. Spring will always be here. March, April, May. It's always going to be there, always has been there. It does not move.
True.
Because the seasons are based on the tropical points, right? So when the sun hits the Tropic of Cancer, why doesn't it keep going up to the North Pole? Why doesn't it go up to the 30th degree, 40, 50 degrees latitude? Well, it can't. That's its maximum. That's summer. That's it. From when it hits the crabby crab, it can't go further. It has to go down in declination. These latitude lines, in the star speak, they are called declination. So this is right ascension, your vertical lines in the sky, and the horizontal lines are called declination. So the sun cannot pass more than 23.5 degrees. And then it has to go back down to the Tropic of Capricorn, and it's got to go back up, and it goes up and down all the time, and those tropical points are fixed. Therefore, our astrology comes from this fixed science. Now, just really quickly, I have presented many ways of validating tropical astrology and proving beyond any doubt that it is reliable 100% and the most penetrating and influential energy system in the universe. Two ways, I'll just give two examples now really quickly for people who are really earnest and want to know the truth and not have prejudices and open their minds to the truth. On my YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology, you can go in there and click how to tell the sun sign. I think that's what the video is called, but in my playlist on astrology, you can go in there and you can see videos on two subjects. One of the subjects is how to tell people's sign by looking at their physiology, their physiognomy. And you can see there's a work from a book called Personalities of the Zodiac by William Schreiber. He's just up the road in Seattle up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, he gets photos of famous people of history, media people, Hollywood people, and he puts the pictures up and puts their signs and everything, and shows you all the features of every sign and how to tell the difference between all the signs. And this is a science. You can do it with your own eyes. Now, it only works in tropical astrology. It doesn't work in sidereal astrology, because sidereal astrology is from the sider, the stars, sedia in Latin, or sidereal, meaning of the stars. So that influence of their influence is not actually penetrating the body to the degree that tropical astrology does, because no matter how you look at it, you can only tell the sign of an individual by looking at them through the tropical system. They can tell you, they can tell me all they want, black and blue, that I'm Pisces and that I'm Pisces. No, when I look in the mirror, when I know what to look for. I was born here, 24th of March. I am Aries through and through, not Pisces. I do not look like Pisces. I have all the Aryan features, all of them, no Pisces. So, no, I'm not Piscean in tropical. My body, I would say, I would stick to tropical for that. That's just one example. I don't want to elaborate any further, because I've done volumes of information on this. Another thing, medical astrology. Okay, I would not be using Jyotish astrology for anything medical, because you can get yourself killed. Only use tropical, because tropical penetrates the body. If you want to see the degrees of illness and everything like that, and you correlate them always with the tropical system, you will never fail. You will never fail. And I've given many examples of that as well in my presentation. So those are just two ways of validating the tropical system. For all the doubters out there, please know that this system has never changed, never will, and is 100% accurate. I'm not saying that sidereal is not, it is as well, but not in the most penetrating and lower gross level of matter, which is the body. It's not, somehow it's not penetrating physically as much.
Okay.
So it's more dealing with the other bodies, I would say. We have the etheric body, the causal, the celestial, etc.
All very important stuff too. Right?
Yeah, of course. I use sidereal astrology every day. I love it, and I validate it, and I respect it. So all I'm just saying is this must not be taken for granted or thrown out just because other systems work.
Oh, right.
Right. So a blues guitarist, just because he's jamming with a jazz buddy, doesn't mean he's going to, betray his blues heritage. No, you're just having a jam doing some jazz. But you're still a bluesman, you can still play blues. So, you don't, it's not like you're, betraying a system just because you use another system. They all complement each other. All right, so now, but today though, what I want to do is the decans. Each sign is divided into 10 degrees. So the first decan of Aries belongs to Mars. Mars is the first ruler of Aries, and then the Sun is the second ruler of that decan, and then Venus. Depending on which system you use, some people will tell you it's Jupiter. There are two systems. So it's easy to work out the decanal rulers, right? Let's start with Mars. Remember, you've got Saturn on top always. Saturn's number 1, Jupiter is 2, Mars is 3, Sun's in the middle, Venus, Mercury, and then the Moon's on the bottom. So remember that this is the order of the planets, because from fastest to slowest, or vice versa. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's remember that order. So I've just started, the first decan belongs to Mars. So we're going to go in this order, and that's the order that we will follow. That is the order that comes down to us from Ptolemy, the most famous of all the astrologers. And he claims that it's an ancient Egyptian order.
Okay.
So all we're doing is we're going around. So Taurus, after Mercury, Venus comes what?
Mercury.
Mercury. So that's Mercury. Then Moon, and then Saturn. Right? Mm-hmm. So we've gone Mercury, Moon, Saturn. Now we know the first decanal ruler of Gemini. That will be Jupiter. Then the next one will be Mars, then the Sun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
These are the same as the faces listed on the Ptolemy's.
They are the faces.
Okay, so the decan and face are synonymous. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The faces. The 36 faces.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense because they have characters or faces. Yeah,
yep.
That makes sense.
Can I pull that out?
Sure, of course. Let me open it up.
So alright, so let's have a look at the faces. There you go. So we started off with Aries, Mars. So there's Mars. And then we just go down this order, see? Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. Saturn, Jupiter, etc., etc. Okay? So that's your faces, the decans. Mm-hmm. Now I have that on my graphic. I basically got the Ptolemy dignities chart. Oh no, you got the synchrota? No.
Oh, I have the synchrota.
Oh yeah, that one. Let's pull that one out. Okay. So this is same thing. This is one of my graphics there, and it has the decans. Yeah, where are they?
It's very.
Oh yeah, they are in here. They are in this middle of this concentric circle here. Mm. So those are all the decans. Now, while we are here, that's how it should be. While we're here, I want to. So what I'm going to do today, though, is I'm going to tell the story of the decans.
Okay.
So I'm going to. This is going to be mythological, cosmological.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the decans, Cassiopeia, Perseus, and see from the myths and from the legends how to tell the story of the ecliptic.
Oh, yay! That sounds awesome.
Yeah, but for the more practical mind and people who want hard facts and things like that, I want to show this because the 36 decans also correspond to 36 parts of your body and rule those parts. In medical astrology, each decan rules a 36th part of your physiology. Okay, so for instance, let's have a look at, I'll need some glasses here. Can you see what that says in there?
Yes, let's see. Capricorn.
No, it should be Aries.
Oh, in
that
one.
Big red space.
No. Sorry.
That's cool.
I have a very small copy of the synchrota wheel here.
No worries. So what I'll do is I'll pull it up here so I can expand it.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's have a look. So, okay, the skull. That's the skull. So anything once if there's a planet in here, in the first 10 degrees of Aries, that planet is influencing the skull. Okay. So, skull, migraines, concentration, the nose, the first decan of Taurus, the throat, and the ears. Okay? So, Why am I saying this? Well, because we could do a whole story on medical astrology here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not where we're going today. We're going to do the mythological storytelling, okay?
Well, because my aim is I'm very interested in the talismanic magic and just interested in knowing and understanding. And it seems to me that there's something to these star constellations that go and they fill out the story of each of the zodiacal things. They have friends, and so I'm suddenly like, wait, Aries has 3 friends, and I'm interested in knowing about that and the characters of that. Because that's how my mind relates to the information and the energies.
Yeah. Oh, look, whether you do medical astrology, whether you do just concentrating on the archetypal energies coming from these decans and how they are so different, this decan will influence Taurians to be different from Taurians from this decan. You see? I'm from this decan, Mars, so you can see I've got a lot of martial energy.
Mm-hmm.
But people from April 1st to April 10th, in the second degree of Aries, they have the Sun ruling over them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last ones have Venus. Venus Arians are totally different to martial Arians. You see?
Yeah.
So we could go into that today, but we're not.
Right, it's a huge topic, yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm just going to choose one of the many, many topics that we could discuss about the 36 decans.
Okay.
And perhaps in further ones we can do more of these and tackle the other subjects. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick to that and the storytelling that goes on theologically. And what I want to do is I'm going to be using the Egyptian Dendera stone. Okay, so you showed one of my graphics there about the decans before. Can we just pull that out?
Sure. Here it is.
There it is. Lovely. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be showing how the 36 decans that I have here, they are exactly the same as the Egyptian Dendera stone decans. They've not changed.
Okay. Which was the question. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So,
which makes sense.
I encourage the viewers to Google search Dendera stone and pull up this particular one. You'll find this one where it has the 36 decans around here, and then it has all the 12 signs in green, right? And in the exact same order that I have in my charts. Aries is over here, Taurus is over here, Cancer is up here, so the Tropic of Cancer is above. Leo, Virgo, Libra, look at that. The scales of Libra on the Dendera stone from at least 5,000 years ago, and yet you have astrologers even today, I cringe when I see them saying that the Greeks added Libra 2,000 years ago, the naughty Greeks, they just threw Libra in. I mean, it's heartbreaking when you see such nonsense and people just spouting all this rubbish second-hand information. You can have direct knowledge. There's the Dendera stone. Indigenous wisdom keepers of Egypt tell you that this is a minimum 100,000 years old. So where did the Greeks add Libra all of a sudden? How did that happen when it was always there? It was always there. It always will be there. And this science never, ever changes. These 36 decans, which I'm going to show, are still... Well, this is my graphic that you can get on my website, universaltruthschool.com, and all of these, Cassiopeia, Cetus, Perseus, Orion, Eridanus, Auriga, Lupus, they are all here. Every single one of them. Not one change. And so you can verify that when you look, the names are all there, they've all been identified. All the names of the deacons, all the names of the 12 zodiacal signs never have changed, never will change. There never will be a 13th Ophiuchus. There's just the 12. Ophiuchus is there. It's right here. But it's a deacon of Scorpio. It's not a sign. Please never let anyone teach you. This is a NASA hocus pocus story trying to confuse people. You know, this is the science of 12ness.
Right.
The universe is in 12. It's made of carbon 12. It's the dodecahedron is the master polyhedra, which essentially controls all the other polyhedra. It's a system of 12. It'll always be 12. It's music has 12 notes, not 13. You're not going to get a 13th Ophiuchus musical note now all of a sudden. These are people who are trying to confuse us. You know, there's always the lie seeded in to try to confuse people from the true path. So that's why I'm beginning from the Dendera stone. I'm going to be using my graphic because the names, they're all there clearly in order, whereas over here you have to look for them, you have to go around and look for them. Right? So what we'll do now is we're going to start a fresh page, and what I'm going to do is, where's the black one? I'm going to transpose that circle to make a bigger circle because we want to have as much information as possible. So there's the equator again. It's there. And there's the other tropical point, and that's the symbol of the Earth in astrology. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very interesting. So here we still have the Tropic of Cancer, and here we have the Tropic of Capricorn, and that's how the Egyptians have the Dendera stone. They have Aries here, and Libra over here. Taurus, Gemini, Scorpio, Sagittarius. Cancer, Capricorn, Pisces, Virgo. So what I'm going to do now is throw in the Decans. I'm going to probably not focus on the actual whole signs. I'm just going to do the 36 and see what stories we can come up with. So, Aries, the Lamb of God. Pisces, the Fisher of Men. Jesus says, I am the first and the last. He is known as the Lamb of God, the shepherd of the flock. This is the flock. And he is known as the Fisher of Men, Pisces. He feeds the crowd with the virgin's bread and fishes. So I believe it's 5 fish and 7 loaves of bread was one of the numbers that was given in one of the Gospels. Well, that's 5 and 7 make 12. So it's always going to be telling you tricky little numbers for the clued in ones to know what it's talking about. Everything is talking about this. Everything. All the mythologies, Hercules, Jason, they're all on here. They're all here.
They're all here.
They're all here. And I'll show you how that is. It's just incredible. It's all here and people don't notice. So what we have in Pisces is a deacon called Cephas. And all the Bible readers, like myself, will know that Cephas was one of the names of Peter.
Oh.
You see?
Huh.
So, when Jesus begins his ministry, before he begins his ministry, he runs into 2 fishermen. One is Peter, and one is Andrew, his brother. Well, Andrew is Andromeda.
Oh.
Cephas and Andromeda. The first thing Jesus does is he says, I will call you Cephas, the rock.
Oh, wow.
You see? So, what that's telling you is as the Son begins its ministry, it starts its ministry here. That's why in the Gospel of St. John, I think it's the first chapter in that Gospel, John turns around and says, look, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Because this Lamb cleans the year of its sins, of its death in the winter. And that Lamb, when you see Aries coming in the spring, you know that it's time for a spring clean. That's why you have a spring clean in Aries, the Lamb of God, because it cleans, it cleanses the winter, and Saturn being the ruler of the winter. Saturn exalts here in Libra, opposite the Sun's exaltation. You see? Interesting how the Sun exalts here in the Lamb of God, Aries, but then it falls over here. And what do we call the autumn?
Fall.
The fall, because the Sun is falling. And that's in astrology where the Sun falls. Whereas Saturn falls over here. Because he was exalting down here. Look, he's down in hell. Winter. Infernal. And Satan, the ruler of the darkness, exalts here at the fall of the Sun and begins his kingdom of darkness. So as the Sun climbs up, he meets in Pisces two fishermen, Peter and Andrew, and one he calls Cephas, the rock. Now what do you know about Cephas?
Well, he was the monster that Perseus killed, right? Like, was he the big sea monster
That's
that Andromeda?
Cetus.
Oh.
That's
Oh,
Cephas.
is this his father then?
No.
Oh, then I don't know.
No, possibly. I'm not sure, because he is the father of the North. He's standing on Polaris.
Okay.
Cephas is like this. He's got his foot on top of Polaris, the northern star. So he, of course, he's the rock.
Okay. Well, I laughed because I thought because Andromeda was chained to a rock, right?
That's right.
You know, so that's what I thought you were, but I was thinking this guy.
That's the rock that is chained to, more or less. Because the rock is here. You see? Cephas is the rock. So, Cephas is a deacon of Pisces, and it's the fisher of men.
Okay.
And see, this is where the gospel comes from. It's not literal. It's not like Jesus, you know, the Son of God literally comes down and then chooses a couple of fishermen, and it's all of this weird, strange storytelling, because it's telling this story.
Right.
This is the only story.
Wow, I just got goosebumps. That's awesome.
Then you have the band over here. That's the band that ties the two fish, the band.
Okay.
And the band is also tied to Cetus, the sea monster.
Okay.
The sea monster is dealing with the waters of the ventricle system. It's in here. There's waters in the ventricle system. First, third, second, third ventricle, etc. And so this is dealing with that. The sea monster. It has to do with the brain and its faculties of being hidden, you know, but being of magical powers, I guess, in that it is, well, this is the cerebrum, right?
Right.
Cerebrum. Bram is for ram, and so that's where Aries is. Okay, so here we have Perseus as well.
Okay. Perseus is up there.
Perseus. Now, here I have put Cassiopeia. Okay.
Oh gosh, she's there, huh?
Cassiopeia, but on the Dendera stone they've actually put triangulum. as one of the decans. And Ptolemy also puts triangulum as one of the decans. Now, triangulum is a triangle that looks like this. This star here is called Anu. Have you heard of Anunnaki?
Yeah.
It's right here in Aries, the triangle, the Trinity.
Okay.
It's also called the plough.
Okay.
Because when you see the plough coming, and this is called the way of Enlil, by the way. Enlil is this star here, or Aea, and Ael, I think it's something like that. This is going to be a little bit out. Anu, Aea, and this one turns out to be Enlil, and this is the way of Enlil, and that's the plough. The triangle is the plough, which is brought out in the springtime so that there can be a harvest in Virgo. All right, so that's what the triangle is all about. Okay, so the mother of Peter in the Gospel gets sick. Well, that's Andromeda, remember? She was changed. She was because of the jealousy between Cassiopeia.
Right. Cassiopeia claimed to be the most beautiful, better than the Naiads or something.
Yeah. And her constellation looks like an M in the sky. Looks like an M. And that's Mary. And it's a decan of Aries. And that M can be a W when, as the North stars go around, it'll be a W for 6 months, and then it'll be an M. And rest assured that is Mary, the Virgin Cassiopeia. Okay? And her son is Aries, the Lamb of God, the son. You see, because naturally it's going to be born in Cassiopeia.
I see.
And Perseus is always there, holding up the head of Medusa, which he has cut, and he's holding it up. Well, the reason why Perseus is always there is because this is the horizon. This is called the line of the earth in astrology. That line there from the ascendant to the descendant, that's called the line of the earth. And so you have 6 a.m. here, you have 12 p.m. here, 6 p.m. and 12 a.m. It's a 24-hour clock. Not only is it a year, spring, summer, autumn, winter, it's also morning, day, evening, and night. Right? So Perseus always, in the morning, slays Medusa, the starlit night. You see how all these decans, every single one of them, they are all there in the right place. Let's move on because there's a lot of storytelling to do here. So here we have 3 more decans: Orion, Auriga, and Eridanus. Eridanus is the Jordanus, the Jordan.
Okay.
Right? And remember, we have a ventricle system, a river system in Taurus, the cerebellum, the cerebellum. Right? Taurus is that, and then Aries is the cerebran. And that's here, the big brain, the small brain. And so Eridanus is representing the fluids, the river system in the cranium. Okay? And Orion the hunter is always of the morning energy, because what it does is it hunts and destroys the darkness of the night. So you see you have these 2 heroes, Perseus slaying Medusa, and Orion right next door slaying the bull of Taurus. You see? Right. So, and that's the Jordanus. The Eridanus is the Jordan. Eridan. Jordan. You see? You just have to put a J there. Jordan. It's the same thing. Let's continue on. So here we have Lupus, the hare, Canis Major, and Canis Minor. In the sign of the twins, Gemini. So, that's going to be interesting. Here we have two twins, Castor and Gemini. And here we have two dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Pollux and Castor. And this would be, Canis Major is Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. And over here you have, what's the star for Canis Minor? It's a very important star too.
I didn't bring my star.
Let's just get that. It's okay. So the point I'm making here is that there are twins in this region, and it's going to be very important.
And Lupus, is that a big? Is it a wolf? Is he a wolf? Because that's Professor Lupin. And
No, that's Lepus.
Okay.
Lepus, the hare.
Okay. So
Lupus.
Oh, so they're chasing the hare.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to understand.
And
a
hare,
big dog and two little dogs.
hare is Hare,
Ah.
the sun, Horus. All right. Now
Okay.
Lupus. The wolf is over here.
Okay.
That's Lepus, the hare. Okay? Now, let's go to Cancer. Here we have Argus, the boat, the Argonauts, Jason and his Argonauts. That's the Arg, or the Ark, or the car of Ra.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're talking about the boat, the Ark of Noah, see, that's the Ark, it's the boat.
All right.
Canopus is here, the second brightest star, right next to Sirius. Beautiful when you see them together in the southern skies. In Australia, these are glorious constellations. And here you have Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Two bears, two dogs, two twins, and you have an asterism here called the manger, which is why at Christmas, when the sun is over here, we have the brightest star on top of the Christmas tree. This is the Christmas tree.
Uh-huh.
Sirius. And we have a couple of donkeys in the manger. You always have Asinellus australis and Asinellus borealis.
Uh-huh.
The small donkey, the little donkey. Okay, so we've got two donkeys, two bears, two dogs, two twins, and a boat. Remember Noah and his ark, Argus, and these are all the twins. And it's funny because there's a, there's an asterism here called Columba. Columba, the dove. And remember?
Oh, right, yeah.
And over here, Corvus, the crow, is a deacon of Leo.
Makes sense.
The dove and the crow that Noah in his Argus, is associated with. And from here, from the Jordan River, from the river, all the way up to here, this is called the watery heavens. You see? The ark of Noah. Noah is the sun. Remember, everything goes back to the sun. Okay? Alright, so there's some more twins in here too. I'm just not... Alright, we'll come back to that. I just want to get around first.
Oh, right.
Because then more stuff will come to me, you know, and we can fill it out a bit more. It's getting quite full, isn't it?
There's so much.
So we have Crater here, the cup, the Holy Grail.
Okay, and we're in Libra. No, we're in Leo. Oh, right.
Leo.
Yeah, the Holy Grail.
The cup. So this is where the Neoplatonists say that souls come in from the portal of men here at Cancer. This is the gate of men, and this is the gate of the gods. Because at the Tropic of Capricorn, through Saturn, the Grim Reaper, we leave the plane of materialism. So that's why Satan, the god of this world, or Saturn, the ruler of Earth, element Earth, Capricorn, he is the one who releases us at the Tropic of Capricorn. And that's why Macrobius says in his Dream of Scipio, the commentary, he says that men come from here, from the Milky Way, through the moon, at the Tropic of Cancer, and then they descend and they do this arc. And when they come to Leo, they drink of the cup of Lethe, the crater. It's in your heart, the deception of the heart, which causes you to follow your heart and the wrong passions and lusts and desires, and deceives you, and you drink and you forget about the gods that you were, and you become one who drinks of this dangerous cup of intoxication.
And sort of the counter side of Leo as an archetype that could be more self, instead of, the hero or the champion, but be more, look at me! Yeah. Yep,
that's right, the lower ego. The passions of the lion. And then you have Hydra, you see? So again, you have this watery system here. The serpent Hydra with its head in Cancer and its tail over here in Virgo, and it comes across here. And it's always associated with the water of the boat of the heavens and all the twins that Noah collects. God brought all the animals by twos.
Right.
It's all here.
Wow.
Hydra, Crater and Corvus, the crow. And then we come to Virgo. And here we have...
Is it readable since I copied?
Oh yeah, no it is. Yeah, Bootes, of course, Bootes. And Centaurus, a centaur like Sagittarius. And we have Coma. Coma berenices, which is the hair of the it's associated with Virgo. So again, Bootes is considered to be the shepherd. He has a staff, and he is the groom of Virgo. So this would be Joseph, and associated with Saturn, because Joseph and Mary are none other than Saturn and Rhea, Maria. Okay, so that's Maria, and that's Joseph, the Good Shepherd. You see? All right, let's continue on. I want to get all these down because they are all from the Dendera stone, and they are still there today, as you can see them. There are 88 constellations now. Now that's an interesting number. It's the number of Jesus, 888, in old Orthodox theology. And how many keys to the piano? 88.
That's beautiful.
And there's many other harmonics and details about 88 which make this a very important, very, very significant number. The original constellations, what they call the originals, are 48. Remember, because that's 12 constellations and 36 decans make 48.
Okay.
So supposedly another 40 were added. But I think they were always there.
Oh, right.
That's what I've come to believe.
Okay.
And they were just considered to be not as significant. They're just like asterisms, but they add to the storytelling. For instance, that's an asterism, and that's an asterism. That but they're also considered to be constellations. You see, so that's now one of the 88 constellations. Betraying Jesus. So I can show you the gospel here. I can show you how the gospels are on here. Hercules, Jason and the Argonauts. I can do thousands, endless stories. So it's only about time, as much time as I have. It's always limited. But anyway, let's see what we can get through. So Libra, we have Lupus, we have Corona Borealis, Borealis, and we have also Crux, the southern star. Crux. Now, this is the cross. This cross, this is the crown of thorns, corona, Borealis, you see. When the sun is crucified here at the equinox, the Virgin is always near the cross. She's always near the crossing, so you always see Mary mourning at her son being crucified. It's just talking about the equinox, which is called Judgment Day, by the way, the 23rd of September in the Jewish system. Judgment Day. Atonement Day.
Yeah.
All right? So you have the Virgin at the cross. There's the cross. Not only does the sun cross over the equinoctial point, but it's also in the cross. And there's the victim. This is also called the victim. Well, the sun is a victim. And that's the crown of thorns. Right? It's all there, storytelling in Libra. Let's continue on. So the three decans of Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Hercules, and let's have a look. Serpens, the serpent. Now again, when Eve, Virgo, and Adam, Bootes, eat from the tree of the good and evil, the fruit of the tree of good and evil. So this is good, and now we're going to go into evil, Saturn's territory. This is evil. So when Adam and Eve, the sun and the moon, cross over here, they eat of the tree of good and evil, right? And the serpent, which has its head, serpent's caput, is right there next to the scales of Libra. Right? Justice, being judged. That's why when the sun comes here, it goes through the scales of Libra to be judged on Judgment Day. And there is Adam and Eve. They eat from the tree of good and evil. The sun goes down, and the serpent is always there next to that cross, or next to Libra, which is the tree of the crossing. You see? So there is the story of the Garden of Eden, right there. Now let's go down to Sagittarius. Sagittarius has Lyra, the harp, Ara, the altar, and Draco, the dragon. So when Jesus gets betrayed, when the sun gets betrayed in Scorpio for 30 pieces of silver, which is the days of the moon, then Jesus must go into the Garden of Gethsemane to be tempted by the devil. There's Draco, the dragon. Because the sun always before winter gets tempted to betray the world, you know, to go and die and never come back. But the 25th of December has always been called Dies Invictus. Dies Invictus Solis, I think it's called. Anyway, in English it's the Day of the Invincible Sun. 25th of December. The Son of God, Jesus, of course. So in the Gospels, this is the Garden of Gethsemane, and where the olive trees are. You see, because Jupiter is the ruler here, and Jupiter Zeus is Jesus. So Jesus always gets tempted before he hands over to Satan to rule in the kingdom of darkness, the night, the winter. You see? So, and this is Zeus and Kronos. He is a Titan and he is an Olympian. So just as Jesus stands on the mountain of Olives, so Zeus is the king of the Mount of Olympus. You see? And remember, he plays his harp and he makes a sacrifice on an altar before he goes fighting against his father, the Titans, and conquering the Titans.
Mm.
And that's the altar, because it's the only altar on the ecliptic. And of course, that's where you would sacrifice. That's your last sacrifice before you, as Manly P. Hall says, as we come down from Cancer and we drink of the cup of intoxication, we get judged at Libra and we get betrayed, then we get sacrificed, and then we go, Saturn takes us out of this realm, the Grim Reaper.
Mm-hmm. You think this could be Orpheus too? On the lyre?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Going into the
Yes.
world? Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Because Orpheus is the same archetype, the Fucus, Orpheus. Alright, so here we have Capricorn, we have Sagitta, the arrow, and of course the arrow is pointing to here.
Mm-hmm.
It's always pointing to that crossing there. So you've got an arrow, you've got Aquila, the eagle, and you've got Delphinus, the dolphin. Okay? Now, in here there's an asterism as well called the flocks. So you see, when Jesus was born in the manger, there's the goat, and there is the shepherds tending to the flocks. The shepherds are in Capricorn, you see. So there were shepherds outdoors when the Lord was born. It's all dealing with the stars. Pegasus, the flying horse. Pisces australis, the little fish. And I'm trying to remember these off by heart. It annoys me to have to look to these, because when
It's
I'm
a good test.
casually thinking, I can name the 3 decans, which I recommend you do, because when you do,
Oh yeah, I'm
Then-
doing it now.
then you are more honed into these certain. And I haven't even been careful to name which is the first and which is the second and which is the third. I'm just putting them in there.
Right.
So
okay.
you can check
Okay.
those yourself as well, because it's significant as well, because as these rule 36 parts of your body, as we said before, that's the nose, that's the something else, and that's the hearing. These are very important, because if you see, so if you see this as a 24-hour clock, you've got 12 midday, 12 midnight, 6 a.m, 6 p.m, then you can absolutely just transpose this straight onto a chart. For instance, that one there, anyway, we won't look at that, but that'll be an astrological chart. The ascendant will be here, the descendant will be here, MC, IC. Right, and you'll understand why, how the house system works, and it all comes from this, and that's just for the day. And then you can just translate that into the year. Equinox, solstice, equinox, solstice. Then you can translate it into the body. So you put the head always over here, the head, and then the arms, and you go right around, and then the 2 feet, the 2 fish, are hitting the back of the head. So you put the head of the human being here, Adam Kadmon. You have the day cycle, you have the year cycle, you have everything.
Yeah.
This is the only way to do it. So the last one there, so we had Pegasus, we had Pisces australis, and Cygnus, the swan. Alright, so now, I mean, all the stories about flying horses, Pegasus and Perseus riding the horse, it's here. Okay, the swan, Cygnus, and Altair, the eagle over here, Altair, the dolphin, Sagitta. All of these things are in our mythologies.
Right. And so for me, this is immediately being like, wait, this is how I weave all those stories together. Because I've been wondering, like, I've been finding themes that connect between these Greek myths and pulling out things, you know? And I've noticed, like, you know, you notice, like, I was big on the Cassiopeia-Perseus story because I've already got this working in my brain. But now I know how to weave together all of the stories. to weave the thread through it. And like, as far as, astrotheurgy, or like creating a theurgistic process, like knowing that story, I feel like is really important. That's wisdom left for us.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you for sharing that with me, because as much as I looked at it, I didn't get that until you just showed it to me. I didn't understand it.
You can name a story, any story, and I'll show you where it is on there.
Yeah.
It's all about timing, Samson and Delilah. It's on here. Samson is the sun. He kills a lion, and then the next day he eats honey from the lion. Well, the honey's in Cancer. Honeymoon. And that asterism, the manger, is also called the honeypot.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
And guess what? And there's the bear who loves the honey. And so when Samson eats from the carcass of the lion the honey, it's just talking about the sun in its glory as it comes through summer in Cancer, and it's victorious. You can slay a lion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a man slaying a lion. And then he's supposedly with a jawbone. That's the jawbone. Triangulum, because that plough, or that jawbone, is what is ploughing through the stars. So it's Samson who kills 1,000 Philistines with a jawbone, a bone of an animal, a jawbone. And so it's the sun and triangulum, starting the year and slaying the year and the stars on the ecliptic.
Yeah.
And then Delilah, he gets betrayed by Delilah. Well, that's Virgo. She's the doorway to the darkness, because when the sun hits 4 p.m. every day, and it goes down here, it gets betrayed. It's like, oh no, it's sunset, we can't see anymore, we can't go out swimming, we can't grow our plants, we have to withdraw. And and we're like, oh damn, that sun was so good today. So it gets betrayed into the night. Jason, he's looking for the golden fleece. Well, there's his boat. As he goes around, he's looking for the golden fleece. Well, where would that be? Well, it's where the sun of gold exalts in the land which has the golden fleece. Anyway, I think we can leave it at that.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, and I think just for like astrological interpretation, or just knowing where you're at any given moment, like me, for my own process, is I try to look at the stars to give me guidance for how I should be aiming my thoughts, and how should be the context for my mind. And having this extra layer is like all of this information. I'm like, oh, I'm in the honeypot, or or I'm stuck on the wolf or something. And it's like it gives you more. It's like we were talking about the other advanced Anastasia and looking at these like technical points. Well, this is actually a sieve that gives you more detailed information, but kind of more like my mind loves to receive it, which is images and story and poetics and thematics and stuff. That's kind of like how I function. So this is really fun for me. So thank you for sharing that with me. And I hope the viewers also, are excited, because this is a whole new area of study for me. So thanks.
Totally.
Yeah.
And these decans, they all have their own influence. First decan Arians are way different to second decan Arians. It's noticeable, and you can see the planetary ruler of that phase. You can just see the sun in the April 1st to April 10th Arians. It's just, they're all solar. They're not so martial, etc. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like there was like one more thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it is. So I think we can just end it there.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys. See y'all next time. Bye.